Right. Comrades, we are called to order for the opening ceremonies. Comrades, attention. All members and guests who are veterans will give the hand salute, and all others place your right hand over your heart. Please join me in giving the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Comrades, we will now be led in prayer by our Honorary Chaplain, Mr. John Hoffman. He's muted. Can you help him?
Let us pray. The psalmist declared, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." Almighty God, Creator and Sustainer, accept our thanks for this day and for all of its blessings. We ask that you will guide and direct our chapter as we meet together. Grant that each of us will accept our responsibility to keeping the promises made to our veterans and to their families. May you bless our meeting today and grant us wisdom for the decisions to be made. For it's to this end we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Good morning, everybody. All right.
Good morning.
As a reminder, we are here to address only matters specific to our organization. All discussions must be relevant to our mission statement, which I will now read. We are dedicated to a single purpose, empowering veterans to lead high-quality lives with respect and dignity. We accomplish this by ensuring that veterans and their families can access the full range of benefits available to them, fighting for the interests of America's injured heroes on Capitol Hill, and educating the public about the great sacrifices and needs of veterans transitioning back to civilian life. This mission is carried forward by providing free professional assistance to veterans and their families in obtaining benefits and services earned through military service and provided by the Department of Veterans Affairs and other agencies of the government. Providing outreach concerning its program services to the American people generally and to disabled veterans and their families specifically. Representing interests of disabled veterans, their families, their widowed spouses, and their orphans before Congress, the White House, and the judicial branch, as well as state and local government. Extending DAV's mission of hope into the communities where these veterans and their families live through a network of state-level departments and local chapters. Providing a structure through which disabled veterans can express their compassion for their fellow veterans through a variety of volunteer programs. I now declare this meeting open for the transaction of such business as may rightfully come before it. Comrade Adjutant, will you call the roll of officers?
Commander Tom Wendell is absent. Excused. Senior Vice Commander Tanya Copert.
Present.
First Junior Vice Commander Shamala Capizzi.
Here.
Second Junior Vice Commander Anna Lutz. Absent. Treasurer Kathleen Schultz.
Here.
Immediate Past Commander Erwin Schultz.
As usual, here.
DEC Tom Wendell. Excused. Alternate DEC Shane Learman. Present. Officer of the Day Jim Anders.
Present.
Sergeant in Arms Joe LaHaye.
Present.
Judge Advocate Erwin Schultz.
Still here.
Benefits Protection Team Leader Jesse Bendahan. Are you online? No. Adjutant Shane Learman. Present. Any chapter service officers? Chris Arrington, Monty Zimmerman, or Fred Skaggs not in the room, but are any of you online?
Present. Chris
Thank you.
Arrington, present.
Thank you, Chris. And Assistant Adjutant Jeremy Yost is excused. He is with his family and new baby and not able to make it today. So we have a quorum, Comrade Commander.
Thank you. I want to introduce, point out two of our guests this morning. We have both from the Department of Virginia. We have our 2nd Junior Vice Commander, Will King. And our Assistant Chaplain, correct, sir? Mick Martin.
Mark. Will, would you like to say a few words? You can come up to the microphone and the camera if you would like. It's up here so you can have my seat.
I'm not going to say much.
Just speak that way.
Right, like, good morning, everybody. I'm just here to visit. Thankfully, I was invited to come out. We brought some breakfast for those that are here. Usually what I try and do is just listen to the meeting, see how it goes, and really just enjoy the conversations that are taking place. And then at the end, near the good of the order, if I could just have a minute or two just to readdress everybody, I'd appreciate that. Along with me is Mick Martin. He's the Department Assistant Chaplain. We're both from Chapter 7 in Fredericksburg. So Mick is here just to, as well, get out, just fellowship and get a high chance to say hi to everybody. So thank you for your time.
Welcome. Thank you for coming. Okay, so we'll go ahead through and introduce all present at today's meeting. We'll start in the room. And please provide your name and any other information you'd like to share.
All right, Phil Hayes, Sergeant Arms, retired Army.
G.A. Redding, Gary Salpini,
Shamla Kapizi, Kathy Schultz.
Erwin Schultz.
Give in.
All right, thank you. And those online, you want to read off?
Yeah, hold on. Just to clarify, to make sure we have it, for those that introduce themselves in Chapter 10 in the room for the meeting, Gary Salpini, Joe LaHaye, Tanya Colpert, Shane Lerman, Kathy Schultz, Erwin Schultz, Mick Martin from Chapter 7, Will King from Chapter 7, G.A. Redding, Jim Anders, and Shamla Kapizi online. And if I don't call your name online, please let me know just so that we have record of it. We have B. Stevenson from Unit 10. We have Reverend John Hoffman, Bob Whaley, C.J. Everidge, Diana Myers, Chris Arrington, and Matthew John. If you're online and I didn't call your name, please turn on your mic and tell us who you are. All right, that's everybody.
Comrade Ashton, the minutes from the last meeting. Oh, we're doing this first. Sorry. My bad.
We had to change.
Okay. Please rise. We're going to do a recognition ceremony. Please. This is for our POWs and OA. Today, we salute the men and women who served and sacrificed to keep America free. We also recognize that the families of the missing, those who continue to hope and pray that their loved ones will one day return home from their wars. 83,000 Americans are currently listed as missing and unaccounted for, dating back to World War II. 83,000 Americans who have yet to return home from their wars. We pray that these Americans and their families are one day brought peace, and we can reassure these families that DAV will never rest until our nation has obtained the fullest possible accounting of all of our missing. We stand beside the families who continue to burn the candle of hope as we actively help our government perform the most humanitarian of all humanitarian missions in bringing closure to these families. I'd like to recognize our DAV chapter member, former POW Jerry Wolf, who endured 11 months of capture by the Germans in World War II. We could never truly appreciate the hardships and sacrifices he and his family experienced. We shall never forget. Thank you. That's it.
And real quick, if I may, Comrade Commander, I am fortunate enough to be a co-advisor to DAV's National Interim POW MIA Committee for the National Commander. It's been my privilege to serve and to be a part of this. There was recently a big presentation yesterday. I will get the link online. It was done at the Pentagon, as well as DAV's upcoming magazine is going to highlight POWs. They're going to have an upcoming podcast. And I believe if Jerry Wolf is going to be highlighted in an upcoming article for POW MIA Day. He was recently interviewed by DAV's National Communications Department. So Jerry will be honored once again for his service and sacrifice. And for those of you who don't know, not only was Jerry a POW of the Germans during World War II. Jerry's also a Jewish war vet who was a captive of the Nazis. So it's almost impossible to really imagine what he endured. And Jerry, we will never forget your sacrifice, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night on the Commander's Check-in and Chat.
Okay, Comrade Adjutant, will you review
Yes.
the minutes?
The minutes, the August 21st meeting was recorded and posted to the chapter YouTube channel and included in the recent newsletter and the report of this meeting. I move that the August 21st minutes be accepted as recorded and posted.
Immediate past seconds.
Any discussion? All those in favor? So moved.
Really? We're not going to do the ayes.
Oh, sorry.
And there you have
And
it.
there you have it, the eyes before, above the nose.
There we go.
Apologies.
Thought we were going to break a streak there. I mean, we've been doing that the first vote of chapter meetings for like 10 years now.
Navigators can tell you how to get somewhere, but you do have to advise navigators how to get to the place where they're going to tell you to go. So.
Yeah, well, I need some special help sometimes. Apologies for almost missing such a streak. Okay, Miss Kathleen, can you provide the treasurer's report, please? You can have a seat.
No, she- Go ahead, Kathleen.
Okay, this is treasurer's report for the period of August 1st to 31st of 2021. Our beginning balance was $16,614.56. We had no income for the month of August. We had 2 disbursements, check number, sorry, I forgot to put check number on here. It was voucher number.
Here's the check.
Okay. No, that's not the check. The first check was $47.85, voucher FY22 E003. The purpose was to pay the annual state corporation registration fees, $35. The next one was check number 4786, voucher FY22 E004 to Tanya Colbert for the National Convention Lodging and Travel reimbursement for $1,973.88. Our total disbursements were $2,008.88, leaving us with an ending balance of $14,605.68. I make a motion that you accept my minutes as presented, subject to audit.
I, Shane Lehrman, chapter adjutant, second the motion that we accept the treasurer's report pending audit. Sorry, I'm not with it today.
Either one.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And so moved. Chaplain Hoffman, do you have anything to add as part of our honorary chaplain's report?
Unmute myself, I will. Keep Jerry Nance in your thoughts and prayers. Last Monday, he came down with COVID-19 while in the Burke rehab facility. Wednesday, he was rushed to Fairfax and Nova and was not expected to make it through the night. In fact, his doctor stayed with him through the night to alert his wife if she needed to come in and say goodbye. Miraculously, thanks to many prayers, I'm sure, Jerry has recovered. This is Saturday, so Thursday night he was returned back to Burke and will complete his rehab and hopefully come home from there. So please keep Jerry and his wife, Rosie, in your thoughts and prayers. And my rehab is going well. I've had a setback with my Parkinson's, because of the spinal surgery, but we're managing day by day. Thank you very much for allowing me to give the report.
Thank you, Reverend Hoffman, and prayers to you and Jerry and his wife. Thank you. All right, communications.
Thank you, Comrade Senior Vice Commander. We have a couple of correspondence that we have received. One is an email and reminders of several things going on within the Department of Virginia for the fall conference, specifically in information. The last day to register for the fall conference for the hotel reservations is September 22nd, which is next week. And they also advise on the reporting requirements for the commander, which Tom and I will fill out that, as well as other reports that are due. Make sure you have your reservations made if you intend on going. As a reminder, Chapter 10's Constitution and Bylaws allows us to reimburse automatically without vote the department executive committee member and the alternate department committee member for Chapter 10 for any expenses to department conventions or department conferences. Commander Wendell will be attending the conference. I do not believe I will be able to attend this time due to professional obligations. However, I would like to make a motion that Chapter 10 provide reimbursement for mileage and lodging for any line officer of Chapter 10 that is interested in attending the department fall conference.
Immediate pass seconds that motion.
Is there any discussion on the motion for providing mileage and lodging for the fall conference for any line officer? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right.
I can't vote twice. Joe, you going to shut that door?
All right, so moved. Thank you.
And we also have another piece of correspondence I want to make sure that we address. As you know, in the past, we have donated to the department hospitality rooms at the conferences. It's usually hosted by another chapter. We received a request. This went out to all Virginia chapters, and they are seeking a donations. Chapter 5, 21, and 27 will be providing a hospitality room during the fall conference at the Delta by Marriott in Chesapeake. Now, they're going to provide social distancing and safety protocols will strictly be enforced for the hospitality room. And this is what they plan on doing. On October 14th, lunch and dinner. October 15th, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I know I got excited too, but I doubt that means eggs to order and bacon, but we can hope. And October 16th, breakfast, lunch will be served in the hospitality room. They anticipate serving around 100 members, and they're requesting a minimum of $200 from each Virginia chapter. And before we move on, I would just like to point out that a lot of times, or historically, let me say it this way, a lot of chapters do not donate to the hospitality room at conferences and conventions. However, they feel free to enjoy the hospitality room without their chapter providing any donations. And it got to the point with such a problem that recently they were taking down names of those who went into the hospitality room to see if their chapter was providing donations. And if they were not allowed into the hospitality room because chapters just aren't donating. Now, as you know, Chapter 10 has a pretty good track record of providing donations. And since they're asking for a minimum donation of $200, I move that Chapter 10 provide a donation of $200 for the fall conference hospitality room.
Immediate pass seconds.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
So moved.
You want to hand that to Kathleen?
We will now have the reports of committees and officers.
First report is the Benefits Protection Team, and our BPTO, Jesse Bendahan, is not with us. So giving what I do, I am the Deputy Legislative Director for DAV's National Headquarters, so I'll provide some updates. Upcoming this week, there are going to be several hearings in the House of Representatives regarding economic employment and homelessness. That hearing will be on Tuesday at 10 a.m. I'll make sure we get a link out. There's also going to be a hearing on Wednesday at 10 a.m. on suicide prevention, and that will be in the full committee of the House of Representatives Veterans Affairs Committee. Later on Wednesday around 2 p.m. will be a hearing on diversity and inclusion. DAV has been asked to be a witness at 2 of those hearings. So the one on economic employment and homelessness, DAV's brand new Associate Legislative Director, Tony Lewis, will be conducting his first hearing. And on diversity and inclusion, Assistant Legislative Director Marquis Bearfield will be testifying on DAV's behalf at that hearing. So there's a lot of issues going on the Hill in reference to those. And real quick, before we move on to other issues, toxic exposures, we've been talking about a lot. There are 2 major bills, one in the Senate called the Cost of War Act, one in the House called the Honoring Our Pact Act. These are both very large omnibus bills. They're both basically made up of 14 to 16 different bills, all jammed in together. Both of them passed the committees and are eligible to go to the floor for debate and discussion. Neither one of them have. Why is that? I'm glad you asked. Because they're estimating costs in the $1.5 trillion range for some of these bills. Now, those are just wild ass guesses. What they're waiting on right now is technical assistance from VA specific to both of these bills and cost analysis from the CBO or the Congressional Budget Office before they move forward. And from what we're seeing right now, neither one of them are going to be costing what their wild ass guesses were. They're going to be only around 250 billion. Only 250 billion. Isn't that funny? We say only 250 billion when we said 1.5 trillion. But again, we're not really sure what's going on with either one at this point. Yes, Flo, did you have a question?
What was the name of the second one in the House?
The one in the House is called Honoring Our Pact Act. PACT stands for something. Right off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. Promising something toxins. Off the top of my head, I really don't know. But both of those are very large bills. Not only do they cover burn pits, but they also cover other airborne hazards. And both of them include adding hypertension as a presumptive disease for Agent Orange exposed veterans. So these are very large, comprehensive bills that not only address Vietnam veteran issues, current veteran issues, burn pit issues, but they also even address radioactive exposures for veterans who participated in the cleanup at Inuwatak from 1977 to 1980, and veterans who served at the cleanup at the nuclear weapons accident in 1966 off the coast of Spain. Palomares. So they'll include those as well as K2 toxic exposures. Both of these bills are very massive. That's why they have the huge price tags. I just had a meeting this week with both the House and the Senate majority and minority staff specific to both these bills. So that's where we are right now. If you want my estimate, I don't think we're going to see either of these bills passed before the end of the year. Now, Congress is into a session of Congress is 2 years. So there's the first term and the second term. We're still in the first term of the 117th Congress. So if they don't pass that yet this year, we have all of next year to get them through. And the reason I bring this up is, I don't know if anybody else watches the news, but there's a few other fights going on in the House and the Senate dealing with budget appropriations, as well as the National Defense Authorization Act, and as well the debt limit, the ceiling, and a budget for next year. So all of those fights are looming now. So I am not sure that they're going to get to these bills before the end of the year due to the other issues that are currently pending. If that changes, I will definitely make sure everybody knows. Also, part of the benefits protection team leader responsibilities is making sure you're a member of DAV's CAN, the Commander Action Network. There has been some new alerts recently sent out, and we will make sure we have those in our
After action report.
after action report after the meeting. What? Sorry.
You're good. Okay, membership. I don't have anything new. We're still waiting on being access to the membership site. We did get notified by the department membership committee chair this week and reaching out to that. So we submitted my name as part of the membership lead here, and that's really all I have. Kamala, do you have anything on any events you're aware of for women veterans? Yeah, I had nothing under women veterans either. So service officers.
As a reminder, what we talked about last month, three new diseases have just been added as due to what they refer to as particulate matter exposure. So if you served in Southwest Asia and you have sinusitis, rhinitis, or asthma, you can claim those as due to particulate matter exposure. Now, I'm just trying to clarify, nowhere in the regulation does the word burn pits appear. It says particulate matter. So that just came out. It was effective August 5th. They have just published a interim rule in the Federal Register. DAV has been reviewing it. We will be making official comments in reference to it. But if you have any of those three diseases, you served in Southwest Asia, you need to see a service officer about establishing a claim as soon as possible and not waiting. Now, we do have one issue, or at least one concern with this rule that they've established, is they're requiring that it be manifest to a compensable degree within 10 years of your last date of exposure to the particulate matter. Now, this is also including the first Persian Gulf War, 1990. So now you got to prove, if you're a Persian Gulf veteran, that you had those problems to a compensable degree, essentially prior to 2000, 20 years ago. So hopefully you have records making that demonstration. Now, the reason I bring this up and talk about it is because VA has said, well, this is something common we do with the 10-year limitation. Well, for anybody who is involved in the VA world, that is not slightly accurate at all. There are only 3 diseases right now within the entire VA system that have a requirement of the disability must be manifest to a compensable degree, and that's within 1 year of exposure to Agent Orange, and those 3 diseases are for Vietnam veterans, very specific. There are no other diseases in the VA presumptive system that have a time limit for the manifestation period. So I am going to go ahead and guess that if DAV does make formal comments in the Federal Register, that it'll include arguments about the 10-year limitation. That was my sign language saying, yeah, we're probably going to, because I'm probably going to be the one writing it. Yes, Will.
Any chance for a nexus establishment for the 10-year rule? The issue is, like, I was on my first shift. We were there, but our lead foreman or hospital was the chief medical officer. We didn't have an actual doctor on board. You could never have gotten something like that diagnosed. So I was just wondering if you could establish a nexus to show that there was this problem of people. I didn't have a problem going back and dealing with it.
Well, since that it's set up specifically as a presumptive, for the presumptive to count, you would have to obviously have it within that period. but direct service connection is still plausible if you have a connection.
Medical opinion.
Yep.
Linking it. Basically, the standard 3 under Cumbie, which is a court case, even if it's presumptive, you're not, notwithstanding presumption provisions, you can still establish direct.
Absolutely correct. Any other questions in reference to the service officer's report?
And I know that because Shane pounded it into my head when I first got here to the Board of Veterans Appeals.
Comey is
It's a lifesaver.
It's a life-saving argument for veterans' issues in front of the VA. It was a court from, anyway.
I can't remember the year either, but basically it said it didn't develop in the presumptive time frame. But the guy had a medical nexus. They denied him. He took it to the court, and the court basically said, you're wrong.
So yes, anybody else have any other questions on any of the other reports or issues we talked about? And again, we're going to have a lot of this information in more detail with links in the after action report. And our assistant adjutant, Jeremy Yost, who's not here, he will be writing it. Sucks when you don't show up. All right.
Okay, moving on to unfinished business. This Sunday is our next commander's check-in and chat. It's at 7 p.m. There is a link in our reminders and also on the chapter website, which is just recently updated, as well as our Facebook page. It's a great time. It's meant to be social and really a fellowship time, ability to kind of touch in and see how we're all doing. Mr. Anders is probably our most regular. He's got some great stories. I enjoyed our last time. We had a good talk about whiskey and some other things, our last session. So we welcome any and all to come join us and hang out and get to know our fellow chapter members.
And that's a great point, Senior Vice Commander. The whole purpose of the Commander's Check-in and Chat is we don't talk any DAV business, no politics. It's not an actual business meeting. It's a social gathering. So in other words, for those of us who excel at bullshitting, it is a great time, Gary, what's up, Edie? To get on there and converse with our fellow members, Commanders, especially those who like talking about bourbon.
Yeah, it was a good conversation, which I will say thank you for the recommendations because I gave it as a gift when they was very impressed with the Woodford.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it is very good. I hadn't had it. Next weekend is also our monthly. We've got this month and the next month for our last 2 of the year. We meet at 7:30 at the American Veterans Disabled for Life Memorial. We need about 10 to 15 volunteers to kind of come out and help us clean off the walls and so forth. It takes us about a little less than an hour usually, but it's a great time also for fellowship and doing some service. We'll send out reminders next week, but we welcome any and all to join us at the memorial to help clean it up.
And you don't need to worry about supplies or anything like that. We're volunteering with the National Park Service. They have all of the supplies and everything we need there and available to us. So you just need to get there, and they're very lenient about parking right in front or in the handicap parking lot next to it. Since we're there volunteering so early in the morning, feel free to park in those locations. Just don't park in the side streets in front of the federal buildings because you will get towed. But if you park right in front of the memorial or in the handicapped lot, even though you're not handicapped, it's not a problem. Even the DC police are sitting in the parking lot in the handicap, and they always thank us for coming by, and there's never been an issue because we're there so early to clean it. It's not a problem. They want to make sure we have direct access to get there. So hopefully we'll see you next Saturday.
And it's nice too because we get different people from other chapters. We had a few gentlemen from the DC chapter last month. We often get different visitors from Veterans Affairs as well. And so all are welcome.
Yeah, we had 2 members from the DC Department of DC, as Tanya noted. We also had a member of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee staff who is a veteran himself, officer in the Air Force, but I think that's still considered being a veteran. It's okay, James. So he came and helped clean, and we've even gotten other organizations and even VA administrators show up and help us clean. So if you have a chance, if you wake up early Saturday morning next week and go, I don't have anything to do, well, you do now. We'll hopefully see you there next Saturday at 7:30.
So we already talked about the DAV Department of Virginia Fall Conference. It's October 14th through the 17th in Chesapeake, and we have any line officers that are interested in going, or I can go now. The information is on the Department of Virginia's website, and let us know if you're interested in going.
And reservations for the hotel end on the 22nd, next week.
Tuesday. Okay, we have set up our next officer training and orientation meeting. It'll be on Wednesday, the October 27th. Topic to be determined, I believe, Shane.
Yes, topic
The
to
last
be
one.
determined.
Go ahead.
I'm struggling a little bit today, so you'll have to excuse me. Things aren't quite working right. I'm not sure what the topic is going to be right now, but I know I have it written down somewhere saying this is what the next topic is going to be. For those of you who didn't catch the first one we did on August 25th, it has been recorded. It will be on the website very soon. And this one was on DAV history, going back to what it was like right after World War I for veterans who were struggling and not having a lot of access to anything, because remember, that was even prior to the VA existing. And then we also discussed the March of the Bonus Army. And if you're not familiar with the March of the Bonus Army, you need to check out this class and this video, and then also go online and go to PBS. They did a documentary a few years back, a little over an hour, and it's completely on the March of the Bonus Army. DAV is a sponsor of that with PBS. And for those of you who aren't aware, it was a very dark day in the history for veterans, as the president at the time turned the Department of the Army on unarmed veterans on Capitol Hill, advocating to get paid the bonus they were promised. And instead, tanks, bayonets were affixed, tear gas was thrown, and veterans were killed in a peaceful protest in 1934 or 32. 32.
So I want to compliment Shane on the presentation. I think the consensus at the end of it was that even if we'd heard about the story before, I thought he did a good job of presenting some new details, and it was a good kind of a thought-provoking presentation. And so when he has it posted up on the website, I highly recommend checking it out if you have time, and some of the supplemental materials that he talked about. I think it has some good food for thought for even the present day, and why what we do as an organization is important, because it's not guaranteed, and that we do need to keep that advocacy going.
Right. You're never going to really know why you're going in a direction if you knew where you were and what happened to get you to where you are now. And the March of the Bonus Army is really one of those things. If you're not familiar, please check it out. It'll really turn your opinion on the way veterans were treated back then. And more importantly, some of our heroes that we talk about from World War II, they were involved in the actions against unarmed veterans during the March of the Bonus Army.
Eisenhower, MacArthur.
Yeah. So it'll really kind of change the way you think about some of them. So if you get a chance, check it out. I don't know if anybody here outside of Tanya and myself. Oh, yeah, Chaplain, you were on there, right? Anybody have any comments,
Thoughts?
It was very well done. I
Yes.
enjoyed it immensely. You were speaking much more clear at the time. No, it was, when I heard that we start talking about the, people that we, again, put on statues and platforms of greatness, you realize that, I think you said that MacArthur wanted to go after people more and call them traitors. Now, here we are again today, when we talk about the Second Amendment, we talk about, veterans won't stand for these things. It's like, well, you see that he might have a handgun, he might have a rifle, but they have things.
Right.
That's why it's important to just remember our history, so we hopefully not repeat it.
So yeah, it was a great time. Thank you for those that attended. We'll have the video of that class available very soon, hopefully next week. Just to give you an update on the homeless veterans, as Commander Wendell had indicated at the last meeting, he is starting a giving tree for homeless veterans at the Washington DC VA Medical Center. I believe we were trying to figure out if they were going to do the homeless veteran stand down in January, but I think, Shamla, you said they were going to move that to around Veterans Day this year?
Yeah, it's Veterans Day. It's, they're calling it stand down light. So I think the VA will directly give it to the veterans and stuff. They said it's going to be a smaller event with smaller veterans attending.
I don't have any updates on the giving tree itself, but the idea is very similar to what we did last December for the holiday season. We created a giving tree for those veterans, families that were in need. And the idea is Tom's going to create a giving tree on Amazon for very specific items that are needed for veterans, not just at the stand down, but also for the upcoming cold season. Once we get that up, we will get that published to all of you, and you'll have the ability to go right in there, purchase something for a homeless veteran. It'll be shipped directly to Tom, and then we'll get it over to the VA Medical Center for donations. And we're trying to start it early because now is a good time to donate boots and socks and coats and hats and gloves instead of waiting till January like they've normally done. So we're going to have that up very soon, and we're going to have multiples of each set. So you can go in there and purchase something. It'll be selected to be shipped to Tom, and then we'll take all the donations over to the VA Medical Center. Hopefully this will turn out as well as the giving tree we did for those two families last year, and this will be something we'll look at doing annually. Because if you remember, a few years ago, we had everybody bring donations to the holiday banquet. VA Medical Center was here, and they collected all of the donations and took them with them. But with COVID-19 things going on, I'm not sure how all that's going to work. So this is just a great alternative, and it'll be open to all our members instead of just those attending the holiday banquet. So that'll be up soon.
Okay.
We have more unfinished business. Do we have an update on Fort Knox storage?
Oh yeah, we were gonna go clean that up this month, weren't we?
Didn't I put that in here?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, okay. I thought I did. I had a slide. I must have deleted it by accident. In reference to Fort Knox storage, our bill runs through, we're paid up through November 1st, correct? We were thinking about going there this month, but I can safely say with Tom not being around, that we are going to have to postpone that to next month. Fort Knox storage is where we're paying roughly $1,700 or $1,800 a year for us to have some of our things in storage. But as we talked about the last time, DAV headquarters has moved, so a lot of the brochures and things we had all need to be destroyed and thrown out, and new brochures need to be ordered. So once we go through and look at our actual storage room, we may discover, one, we don't need that big of a space, and two, we may even discover we may not need a storage facility, depending on what's left, what we're going to keep. So we're going to try to go get some of the officers together next month, go over there on a Saturday, take a look, make a determination before we have to purchase again in November for the upcoming year.
If you could kindly do that before the 23rd, we're out of town the 23rd through the 2nd. So if you want a check.
But if we take everything out, we won't need a check, right? All right, before the 23rd. Thank you, Kathy.
I'll send an email out this week and come up with consensus the best way to do it.
If you want to whack it and then get reimbursed.
Yes.
Hopefully we come to a better conclusion on our facility there than just either condensing it and getting a smaller, or maybe even deciding we don't need it. And I don't want us to have somebody, a member, store some of this stuff, because I know that was problems before. But once we go in there, and if we discover there's not a lot in there that we need to keep, there might not be a reason to keep it in the future. By the way, my wife has heard me talk about this and made it very clear. No way in hell am I storing anything from chapter 10 in my garage or my basement. And that's not an idle threat. She throws things away that I don't even know she throws away. Yeah,
Having observed the place, you can probably shrink it to 1/3.
that's what I was,
So just a little 3x5 room.
Well, not quite that small, but, maybe 8x8.
but once we go in there and we see what is worth keeping and what's not, we might really make a change. Because again, with the reduction of the allocations we'll be getting in the future from the national organization based on membership and our other things, we really need to take a hard look at some of our expenses. And I think that is one of our largest annual expenses. And if we can find a way to shrink it down or potentially even eliminate it, that's just going to help us in the long run.
I'll send an email out this week and coordinate a date for us to get together and crank that up. All right. New business. So it is Veteran Suicide Prevention Month. This is a near and dear issue to me. I've had several veteran friends that have perished this way. So the VA is throwing a Facebook Live event on Tuesday at 3:30 regarding this topic, and we will have a link to it in the after action report. On a personal note, if you are struggling with those thoughts, please reach out to any of us, or I'll be happy to come talk with you or get you in touch with services that you may need.
And then along that same line, VA recently published the annual suicide prevention report that just came out a few weeks ago, actually last week. Now, this report is retrospective, so it goes back and looks from 2000 to 2019. And for 2019, they showed that there was a reduction by over 300 of veteran suicide in 2019. Now, before everybody gets excited about the reduction, that doesn't include 2020, COVID-19, the pandemic, and the current situation with Afghanistan. But that report is out there. And the reason I wanted to mention it is because you've probably already seen potential news stories on it. It's already been talked about on the Hill in several different ways. So I just want to make sure everybody was aware that while it does show there was a reduction in 2019, which is awesome, it doesn't tell us anything for the last year and a half. So I think it's too early to get excited about an overall reduction until we have more information. DAV's Centennial Celebration and Dedication. For those of you who know, last year was DAV's 100th anniversary, but due to COVID-19, DAV decided to postpone it until this year. So on September 27th is the new national headquarters dedication ceremony. We were in Cold Springs, Kentucky, which is just right across the river from Cincinnati. However, DAV has just built a brand new national headquarters in Erlanger, Kentucky. It's much easier to say Cold Springs than Erlanger. That's all I'm going to say. They didn't take the name of the city into consideration before they moved it. But the formal dedication ceremony will be on the 27th, and DAV Centennial Celebration in Cincinnati will be on September 28th. There's going to be a concert. There's going to be a lot of events going on, and I'm very excited and very fortunate. I will be able to be at both of those events. So I'm looking forward to it. Plus, for those of you that remember, we purchased 3 bricks for 3 Chapter 10 members to be in DAV's Memorial Garden or Remembrance Garden at the new national headquarters. So I'm hoping that they're going to be there. I asked the last time I was just recently down there, actually, so was Shamla. We were just down there for an orientation at national headquarters. None of the bricks were in yet, but they're hoping to have them in before that. So I'll hopefully have a chance to see the bricks we purchased for Arnold Cell, Jerry Wolf, who we just talked about briefly, and our long departed friend, John Mackey. So I'll have pictures of those bricks when I go down there and bring them back to everybody. But yeah, that is very exciting. That new national headquarters, I got to tell you, it is impressive. Shamala, since you were there for the first time, what do you think?
It's really, really nice. quiet, which is because it's by that highway. Now it can be actually really be seen, so when you're on the highway and it's very bright. So I think it also helped with like membership and just getting our name out there. So yeah, it's very, very nice.
It's right off the interstate from Cincinnati to the airport. So everybody has to go right by it. And they had to get a special permit from the city because DAV is flying probably one of the largest American flags I have ever seen in my life. When you're driving up to it, you see that flag like a half a mile away. You're like, holy crap. And it's just huge. And it's a really beautiful area, great place. They even took some of the things that were at the last headquarters. Like there is a fountain that was created by a craftsman and donated to DAV. That's been relocated to the new headquarters, as well as the cannon. You got to have a cannon at your headquarters. So that is there as well. And that new headquarters, I got to tell you, it is amazing. And the great thing about it is DAV did not use any of its existing funds to pay for it.
No. Oh, and then it has a store and then it has a little museum, which I think you're in one of the pictures in the museum. If you didn't see it.
I didn't, but now I'm going to have to get a picture of me next to the picture.
You saw yourself, but you're like right there on the edge of the picture, and I noticed that's you, but you're in the picture in the museum.
Well, of course I should be.
But yeah, there's a really cute museum, a really nice, motivating museum, the store. There's where you could go out and sit. There's like courtyards. Yeah, it's amazing.
They have an entire area dedicated to the American Veterans Disabled for Life Memorial. Since DAV was big on it, they had a whole huge section, a lot of models, life-size stuff. And I was there giving classes for the orientation, but when they were giving the tour, they know I'm with Chapter 10 and how much we clean it. I was asked to give that part of the tour on the memorial. And by the way, Chapter 10 got shout outs fairly frequently through that day and a half of orientation for new employees. Since I just happened to be in the room for the legislative department to explain what we do, our name was mentioned a lot by a lot of people throughout the entire day and a half. And I got to tell you, being around DAV as long as I have, you don't hear a lot of departments always getting a lot of shout outs at events. You do occasionally at conventions and whatnot, but to hear an individual chapter by name as frequently as I hear Chapter 10, we should all be very proud of what we're doing here, honestly. Upcoming also this year is the DAV 5K. And for those of you who remember, the 5K has gone over some transitions over the last several years. DAV started it with just a in-person 5K in Cincinnati. Then it branched out to several different cities across the country, to include in Virginia, and then they have shut all of those down, and the only one they have now is in Cincinnati. Last year, they had to cancel it during the pandemic, so they had a virtual 5K, and yes, Chapter 10 had a team. It consisted of me, Tom Wendell, and Jeremy Yost, three of us, but you know what the exciting thing is? We raised a couple $1,000, thank you, and they were having a photo contest on the day of the virtual 5K, for the best location. We won that contest during the 5K because we got pictures of us in front of the American Veterans Disabled for Life Memorial. We did our 5K on the mall. So we're looking at doing that again this year, a virtual 5K. Now, for anybody in the room or online listening, when I say 5K, trust me when I say none of us intend to run. And I would say it's not a walk, it's more of a 5K mosey or a 5K amble. Yes.
It's a saunter. A saunter.
That's what it was down in, it was a stroll.
So we're looking forward to create a team again this year. And again this year doing it on the National Mall, because even though there was only three of us, we had our shirts and our numbers on our backs as we were walking around. people were stopping and talking to us and pointing. They're like, oh my God, what are you guys doing? So even though there was only 3 of us, it was actually pretty cool. And there's no better place to do it than in DC on the mall. So we're going to do that again this year. You don't have to participate in the 5K amble, stroll, or mosey to be on the team. You can be on the team and just help us raise donations online that all go directly to the DAV National Organization. We'll get information about that out to everybody very soon, but that'll be on Saturday, November 6th, and hopefully we'll be able to do it on the National Mall. Last year was extremely warm when we did it. We were all wearing like sweatpants and long sleeve shirts. By about, we got halfway through it, we were all like, wow, it's warm. I'm sure it has nothing to do that we're overweight and walking for several hours. I'm thinking it was just because it was warm out. So if you're interested, we'll have more information out that for everybody very soon. And just to follow up on the holiday banquet, we tabled this discussion at the last meeting until our October chapter meeting to talk about it, because we still don't know what's going on with COVID-19, and we'll wait to our October meeting to make the final decision if we're going to have it over there in December.
Okay. For the good of the order. Well, you wanted to speak. What's that? Anybody else have anything for the good of the order? Nope.
Does anybody online have anything for the good of the order? I'll take that as a no.
Well, you have a
Unless
motion.
you want to open up for mandatory nap time.
We're almost there.
Thank you very much. All right. So as I mentioned, I'm trying to go around and say hi to all the chapters. One of the things I learned when I first swore in is that out of the 11 chapters I kind of have a responsibility for, is several had a very negative opinion and view of the department, that we were overreaching, over-regulating, trying to take people's chapters over, and things like that. And one of those reasons why is the junior vice commanders who are supposed to be responsible for the area weren't really communicating as well. PDC Lisa Gregory told me, and I absolutely agreed, that the best way to shore up that issue is to visit the chapters and understand that when we're coming here, we're not coming here for an inspection. We're here to take part, share what the department may have for you, and most importantly, if you have concerns, take it back to address it with the department. We have 4 new commanders in chapters, and they have basically been thrown into it. So it's a good opportunity to mentor those commanders, as well as get the department to show that there are some issues that we need to address with new commanders especially. When you look at the agenda for the conference coming up, we have a day of seminars. That's because we have a lot of chapters, not just in the Nova area, but others throughout the Commonwealth that need help with AFRs, some stuff with adjutants, and then just general chapter operations. So we're going to focus on those things a little bit more. When I saw that Chapter 10 was in the region, I was very thankful, mostly because Tom and Shane do such a great job at these conferences and conventions. I've been going to them for a couple of years before I ran for the office, and their presence is very much impacting a lot of the way we do business here. So I know that with Chapter 10, I wasn't going to have to really worry about too much other than just trying to make sure you had good breakfast today. Thank you. What I really enjoy is the fact that you guys have a digital platform that I don't think anybody else has. You have not only this, we do Zoom as well, but your commander's call, I've sat in on a couple of those just to be able to go in and talk to people I've never met and just have a conversation is very, very enjoyable. The training you did, as I mentioned, was fantastic. I had not heard of the bonus army in any of that until now, and I was going to remind you I need a copy of that, so I'm going to show that at our meetings probably beforehand. That type of thing should be presented at our conference at some point, to be honest with you, just the history of the DAV itself, because I think a lot of us either don't remember it or don't know it. So we'll see about if we can do that at least in maybe March, if anything. Fundraising, Golden Corral heard a lot of chapters. Some were able to adapt, some didn't have any fundraising going on. You folks have your own thing going, but I will offer an opportunity to participate and buy a bed of beer It's a very good program. We ran it last year, and I actually had to cap it because we were honestly raising more money than I thought we could fairly spend. As you know, your forget-me-not funds and those type of things, you got to spend a good portion, at least 2/3 of that. So it's like we took in over $7,000. I was like, we're not donating to the typical things like transportation and committees or to national stuff. So how it works is you find a good mom and pop restaurant or a brewery, a distillery, vineyard. You go in, you say hi, we see if you'd like to participate. I have posters. I will get you posters if you want to use it. And how it works is for a few weeks, some breweries do it for 6, some do it for a month. But it's a pay-it-forward program, so the brewery doesn't lose any money. Okay, so a person comes in, sees the poster, wants to participate, they buy it, and a little slip goes on the wall as a kind of a thank you wall or a raffle ticket, depending on the size. Then on Veterans Day or the day designated by the establishment, a vet will come in, take a slip or take a raffle ticket and cash in for 1 free drink. The good thing is that you're already guaranteeing that the establishment will give you a certain amount off per beer sale or wine or shot. So typically it's $1 to $2. And if it's done right, you're going to get anywhere from $700 to $1,500 out of it. The best part of any fundraising that I've learned is the smallest thing you have to do as far as the actual participation of it, the better it's going to be in return of investment. Posters are already made. I've got plenty of them. I got a screen printer who can get them mailed to you, or I can get them to you, however that works. The slips, you provide them examples. The establishment creates their own. Okay, so that way it's on them. It's their program. And then all you have to do is once somewhere in there, say hi, and on Veterans Day, stop in, show your face, say thank you, and 2 days later, come pick up your check. So if that's something you'd like to do, I can share that with you guys. We have a few chapters that are going to do it and try and go with it, because as of right now, our Golden Corral officially for the corporate side of it is still not established. They're still working on that. And a lot of it's because you have still the COVID issues, and you have some that are reeling from last year. They're trying to catch up. So we're just trying to find other ways to share and offer other chapters to assist with. Let's see. As I mentioned, our department chaplains here. One of the things I saw that I was kind of a little taken back by is there's no real department communication when a chapter has a comrade in distress or a passing of a comrade. We were supposed to be at last month's meeting, but Mick and I actually went to a funeral for a member down in Chapter 50. I think it's important that we have members who volunteer their time and pass away, that we as a department do more than just send an email saying, thoughts and prayers. At the very least, the department should send a card or some arrangements. And if possible, if they're in the area that I can get to, I'm going to go and at least attend and just represent. So if you guys have someone, your chaplain, whomever, your committees, you can send it to me, or you can send it to our assistant chaplain, and we'll make sure that we, at least as a department, will do outreach as well. On top of what you guys are doing. Let's see. Anybody else that might be interested in doing the next CSO class? They are starting to formalize another one. Shane, Senior, if you guys have anybody, just send me the names and I'll get them to the NSO office. And then I think the idea of your giving tree, that's fantastic. One of the things I'm trying to do is get a lot of the other chapters to organize a holiday food drive in cooperation with the Virginia Veterans Department of Family Services. What we try and do is identify a handful of families in the areas, not just in the Fredericksburg area, but all over, because they have a large network. And the food drive that we'll do is, number one, take the food and you'll give it to your local area, like you're doing up in DC or maybe here in Fairfax, or whichever you decide. Anything left over, we have a couple places. One is Liberation Vets down in Chesterfield, where they feed homeless veterans twice a week. So we take food down to there. As far as Thanksgiving and Christmas, we also want to do food, clothing, toys for families as well. So if that's something you guys would like to participate in, or if we have leftover that we can give to you to take up to DC, absolutely. Anything like that is easy to do. It's just a matter of just, getting a little more coordination going. So that's pretty much it. Again, I really appreciate you all having us here, and I really want to focus on chapter communications amongst the chapters, right? So if we have a veteran who is in need of emergency relief financial assistance, or a homeless veteran it's not always up to the one chapter to take that burden on. Okay, we have a very good ER program now in our homeless program. What I was the chair last year, what I wanted to really do is actually define the mission, because there wasn't one. It was just kind of whatever ER wasn't going to do, homeless was going to take, and that doesn't make sense. Homeless is a completely different thing. The DAV is not going to solve homelessness. We're not going to solve veteran homelessness. We are a spoke in that wheel. But we now have a large group. It's a community caring group. There's over 21 different organizations. We meet once a quarter on a Zoom call. We discuss everything from the housing moratoriums to the employment insurance and all those things. We have been prepared for what is coming right this now for a while. We were prepared for it last December. We knew how we were going to have money sorted and to take care of these things. So anything that you folks have here, if you have a veteran who needs these things, don't be afraid to contact me or contact the department representatives, because we don't want your chapter to feel like you have to take care of this from 0 to 100. Right? Getting a veteran into employment, getting them into a home. Sometimes now the voucher to get a veteran into an apartment or assisted living is 6 weeks, up to months. And I'm saying months. We have vets who've been waiting 9 months because some places just aren't going to take them. Okay, and it's a tough thing. So we don't want you spending your money on a veteran staying in a hotel for 3 days, because in 3.5 days, that veteran's right back to being homeless again. It doesn't solve the problem. We'd rather have you use your money to help with household goods, food, or moving costs, deposits, and things like that. So, are there any questions for me? Anything I can bring to the department? Okay, thank you. I hope to see some of you at conference. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else for good of the order? Thank you for comments. I mean, particularly on the buy bear vet. I know we did that a few years ago, or a version of that, and I think it would be an interesting idea to discuss to see if we can bring that back in.
And actually, to your point, it started with Chapter 10 about 7 years ago. If those of you remember, Jim Jr. was very active. We did that with Fairwinds Brewing, several events down there with them. We started off the Buy a Vetted Beer event there, and Jim helped spread that through other parts. I believe Richmond was one location, and a few others that popped up. And then we did it with Mustang Sally here in Fairfax. And unfortunately, a lot of that came to a stop. Our fellow friend and veteran, the owner of Fairwinds, passed, and we kind of just stopped doing it because of that.
Well, what's great is that there's an article written about that. That's how I kept hearing about it, and I read the article. That's kind of how I figured out how the part to do it. But we're getting it going. I got Blackstone, Chesterfield, and Petersburg are all going to participate along with what we're doing. And we have an extraordinarily large amount of territory. So we've got 4 places lined up right now, and a couple more. So it's definitely a good program.
And we need to do more fundraising, and so we need to get back into it. I think this year might be a little short-handed for us to try to do it. We need to find those locations because it's a little funky for us up here, being Arlington-Fairfax, but most of us don't live in Arlington-Fairfax. So, but we'll find some. I know that maybe 1 or 2 of you have attended a brewery within the last year. I'm just going to say maybe. So if you've attended one in Arlington or Fairfax, keep it in mind. That's the place that we can set up the better beer again going forward.
Another thing you should look at, fundraising is based on fees, right? If you look at every Saturday, there's 100 5K races going on, right? It's all for a certain cause. Last year, we also did a DAV Centennial birthday. And for just one weekend, we had a restaurant do a spirit day kind of thing for us, and we pulled in almost $800 off of that. Just one restaurant. So that one restaurant said, hey, this is great. We're going to buy a better beer, buy a better vino, homes. We have folks that says Vino for wine. And then we have a distillery where we buy a shop or two just to kind of build in that theme. But I think the great thing is all you have to do is just go in and meet the owner, and then you kind of come in here and there later on and stuff. And it's a great event, so. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. There's a place that most of us are probably going to go to for lunch when we're done. That would be a good place for us to think about in the future. Yes, Shem.
I just want to mention it's the Air Force birthday on Air Force veteran. I would like to say happy birthday to our.
Today is the birthday of the Air Force. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Yes. So
1947.
1947. For all of you Air Force people, I don't know what you call yourself, airmen.
Airmen.
For all you airmen.
Recognizes Strategic Air Command and we were around before the Air Force.
Right.
So happy birthday to all the airmen.
I love the Marines.
From a Marine, it's hard for us to do those things. So I think that brings us
It's hard for Marines to say airplane to this day.
Right, we're here.
Yeah.
Okay. So our next meeting is October 16th. In person or joining us online. We welcome everybody to come back and more beyond. Invite your friends. I'd love to start seeing this room get filled up again. And so
Yeah,
forth.
because if you recall before the pandemic, we were hitting over 50 members a meeting.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're going to get there again soon, but I think it's still too early to tell.
So goals for 2022 too, right? Okay. At this time, let's all rise for 1 minute of silence will be devoted in honor of our departed comrades. Okay. That's good. Okay. I'm confused. That's not the wrong order. Am I supposed to be asking the adjourn? Okay.
There's no laughter during a moment of silence.
We're moving on. I got a little confused with the order here. I apologize. Do we need a motion to adjourn or do we do?
No.
Okay. All right. Comrade Chaplain, will you lead us in closing prayer?
Certainly. Now may the God of peace, which passes all understanding, keep our hearts and our minds in the knowledge and love of God, and now unto the eternal and all-wise Creator of the universe, the preserver of our nation, be the honor, the glory, both now and forever. Amen.
Amen. Comrades, the purpose of our gathering here has been accomplished, but before we close, let us always be mindful of the principles for which this organization stands: comradeship, friendship, loyalty to principle and to our comrades, and devotion to our cause. Before I declare you adjourned, it is fitting and proper that we again render honor to the flag of our country. Comrades, before us is the flag of our country. Let us always be true to its ideals and worthy of its exalted traditions. Comrades, attention, by the numbers and salute. 2. I now declare this meeting of the DAV Arlington-Fairfax Chapter 10 adjourned. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks everybody for attending. For those of you online.
I know. Well, I was like, I was confused. I'm like, how do we? I was having transition issues.
I'm going to try to take on.
I appreciate it. It lightens me up a little bit.